double click that. What's up, Wildcats? It's time for another edition of the Wildcat Way. What's up? Happy Thursday, March 21st. We are finishing out the week right before spring break. So finishing school today and tomorrow, and then starts our awesome week of spring break where I hope that all of our students and staff have an amazing time during spring break and getting some sun. Some relaxation to be able to come back and finish out April and May strong with the end of the school year. Wildcat Nation, please continue to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and then of course through our weekly newsletters through Parent Square. All right, attendance, just like what we always do. Attendance matters. Our school-wide goal, just a reminder, is 90% attendance as a school. Currently, for the school year, we're sitting at 91.81%, which is outstanding. Last week, we were at 91.72%. And then this week, we're currently at 92.21%, which is awesome. ISATs are coming up. Juniors, this is a big time for you. It's super important, something that we've talked about all throughout the school year as our school-wide goal of improving our ISAT scores and really preparing our juniors to show their learning by the end of the school year, which is now April. April is testing month for our juniors. They just finished SAT and did a fabulous job with that. So our juniors, they set goals in their mentor houses with their mentors. And as a school-wide goal, we're looking at improving our scores in ELA, math, and science by 5%. So juniors, just like always, and junior parents, big time. So please make sure that if they're testing that next day, help them with getting a great night's sleep and good breakfast the next morning, and being here every day for testing and giving it their all. So in ELA, you're going to test April 4th or 5th, and then again, April 8th or 9th. There's 2 parts to the ELA test. There's 2 parts to the math test, which will be April 18th and 19th, and then again, the 22nd and 23rd. And then science is just 1 part, but it's a longer test. Our ELA and math testing are shortened this year. So a little bit shortened test for those 2, but our science test is still the same length. And science testing is going to be May 2nd and 3rd. And again, the 6th and 7th. We have to have every kid test that's a junior. So we need to make sure that our attendance is really good and that everybody shows up for testing day and of course, all days to make sure that they can learn from their teachers what they need to learn before ISAT testing happens. Hard work equals success. That's our motto for this testing season. And then we want you guys to follow the Wildcat Way. Have integrity, do what's right when no one's looking, because again, what we talk to our juniors about is that we're not going to look over their shoulders as they're testing. It's important that they give their best with everything that they do and that they're reading every question carefully and not just guessing, but choosing what they think is the right answer and taking their time with their test. We know they can do it. They're gonna show us their results here in a couple weeks. All right, we want to thank Moxie Java as they were our sponsors for the Wildcat Way, our January, February, and March awards when we focused on integrity, which is perfect. But we're going to be moving in March here, April and May. We're finishing out our Wildcat Way. The last pillar is positive. So we're going to be teaching our kids about being positive as we finish out the school year, and again, then finishing strong as well. So. All right, I get to bring on Mr. Henry Priebe. Come on over, Henry. Henry is our guest today. Henry, thanks for coming on to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
What, isn't this a cool room?
Yeah, never actually been back in the broadcast room before.
Yeah, awesome. So Henry, Wildcat Nation, he was, they had debate state about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so last not most recent Saturday, but Saturday before that.
And Henry was a state debate champion. So Henry, you're a senior. What can you describe? What did you win at state debate?
So there's 4 types of debate that are at state debate in Idaho. There's public forum, Lincoln Douglas, policy, and Congress. I compete in congressional debate. It's pretty similar to like a mock round of how the legislative process actually works in the United States government, except actually we don't just yell at each other, we get things done.
And there's some rules probably
Yeah.
that go along with that.
Yeah, so it's for the super basic, one side's giving AFs on a bill, one side's giving negs. There's a piece of legislation introduced by students. You discuss it. Questions are asked. It's a lot of fun. If you've ever considered it, I'd advise trying debate at least once in high school. Like, just go do it. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was state champion in Congress.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I was a finalist last year, but I actually made it to finals again and was lucky enough to actually win the tournament.
Yeah, that's outstanding. That's a big deal. There's a lot of kids that participate in debate and speech and things like that, right?
So at state for Congress, there was about 80.
Oh my gosh.
And then that's the top third from each district. So
Yeah.
all in all, there's about 240 kids who showed up to district.
Because about 80 qualify for state.
Yep,
then.
At a top third.
Wow, that's outstanding. That's a big deal. How long have you been in speech and debate?
So I've been in speech and debate for 4 years. I started freshman year. Obviously, freshman year being COVID, it was really it was a lot less. Like there were a couple of online tournaments, online speech and debate. Not a super great experience. Also, should I look in this way?
You're good.
I'll just throw on that. So yeah, online speech and debate, really not a great time.
Yeah.
But in person for 3 years. Last year, I kind of joined our travel team, so we go to tournaments that are further away. So I've been lucky enough to travel to the east side of the state. Actually, I went to Utah last year.
Yeah.
So I've been involved for 4 years. So I've done Congress all 4 years. I've dabbled in a couple of other events, but Congress has been my main thing.
That's awesome. So being involved, and I know Henry, you were part of our snow team for a little bit too. Just like getting involved in things in the school, has that benefited you as you are now on your, you're a senior and on your way out?
Yeah, very much so. One of the things, like I do track, I do cross country.
Yeah.
I do a lot of things. After this, I'll be going over to something for robotics.
Yeah.
I really like being involved in stuff. It gives me an opportunity to meet people. Like I've met a lot of my friends through speech and debate. Like had a relationship start through speech and debate. I've got a lot of connections. Depending on where I'm going for college, I may actually be competing on scholarship for speech and debate.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. What are you thinking for college?
So that really depends on. I'm still waiting to hear back for a couple places. If I'm staying in state, I'll be competing for BSU.
That's awesome.
They've actually got one of the best speech and debate teams in the Northwest. So I'd be lucky enough to compete on scholarship and maybe stay involved in the local speech and debate community.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
That's outstanding. Okay, so next up for you is speech, right?
Yeah.
Have you qualified for state speech?
So the state speech, so it's not like track and field, like, oh, we do them at the same time. So there's district debate, and that qualifies you to state debate. But there's also district speech, which then qualifies you to state speech. So district speech is pretty much right after we get back from spring break. So there's a week, and then it's that Saturday.
Yeah.
And then another week, and then it's state debate.
Yeah.
So I'll be doing a panel and then sales at at district, and then hopefully state speech.
Yeah.
Like panel, I think is a likely. I've done really well this year. Sales, I did really well last year, but I haven't done it at all this year. So
yeah. So as you're competing in these tournaments throughout on the weekends and things like that, has it been super duper important for you to get better each and every time? And then like the feedback that you get from the judges, is that beneficial?
Yeah. So I actually got, and this is one of like those poetic moments, the first Congress tournament I ever went to, I got second to last out of like 40 people, like really bad marks. But I just kind of stayed with it.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people like in that final round, there are people who've like, oh yeah, at state, there are people who've been successful all 4 years, who've been really successful. And then I think the thing that helped me was that I was always trying to get better. I was always like looking at what I could do to improve.
Yeah.
And very much, I mean, just the consistent competition makes things a really good way to improve.
That's awesome, Henry. Thanks so much for coming on, dude. I really appreciate it. It's not easy to be in front of the camera and then be in front of Well, you're used to it, right?
This is what I do.
That's awesome. So this is a little added practice. Something, I don't know, unless you've watched our podcast, all my guests that come on, they also have to like do a little competition. And so I'm putting you on the spot.
Okie dokie.
Name as many ice cream flavors, and you have 15 seconds. And my peeps over here are going to help me and keep track of it. So I'm going to be the timer. They're going to tally for me, and we'll find out how well you do.
Okay.
You ready, Henry?
Yep.
Marks, get set, go.
Vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, raspberry, blueberry, huckleberry, blackberry, rocky road. Let's see. I already said chocolate, Neapolitan,
Wow.
mint chocolate chip, pistachio, rosewater,
Ooh, that's a good one.
peanut butter.
Time is up. That's a really good job. Wow, you are good. Oh my God, I think you like to compete too.
Yes.
Yeah. What was that? 8? No, 13? Wow, 13, Henry. Great job, man. All right, Wildcat Nation, remember spring break. What are you going to do on spring break?
Spring break will be visiting some colleges and
Yeah.
catching up on some schoolwork stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, make sure you get some sun.
Yep.
Get out and enjoy the time. Students, parents, thanks for all the support. Really help your kids get a good break and then be ready to come back and finishing strong as we finish out April and May. Juniors, we got a big month of April showing your learning through our ISET testing. Wildcat Nation, we love you. Have a great spring break.